Everyone is telling you to join a nurse residency program. But why? If you want some information, tips and tricks, and some kind of ins and outs, stay tuned because I have all the tea. And if you've already applied for a nurse residency program, this video can still benefit you because you might learn some things that you just had not heard of or read about before. Some programs that you may apply to have 2-year commitments or 1-year commitment. So you kind of just want to ask those questions during your interview just to see what the expectation is. Commitment meaning contract. So if you get hired for the NICU, you know, a lot of times they have NICU residencies. So if you're hired for the NICU, that means that you will have to stay with that particular facility for 2 years. And sometimes that 2-year begins after you complete your residency, and it may not even include that 6 months to a year that you were actually doing your residency. That is something to actually think about. On the other hand, some companies do hire new grads straight from nursing school. You sometimes don't have to go through a residency program, especially if you know you do not want to work bedside. There are people who are very adamant and self-assured in themselves, knowing that, hey, when I graduate from nursing school, I do not want to work bedside. And that's okay. Do not let anyone, nurses, your family, people who have been down in the dumps, don't let anyone tell you you have to go to either med surg or you have to do a residency. Now, I'm not saying that those things don't help you in the future. Those things don't prepare you, because they actually do. But you don't have to do med surg right after nursing school. That's truly a myth. If you know for sure you want to work in L&D, there are plenty of L&D residencies out there. Just go ahead and apply to multiple throughout the entire city that you're in, or sometimes even outside of the city. Do not let the naysayers tell you you have to do med surg. Now, for me, I did med surg right out of school only because of one reason. That hospital was the only hospital that came to my school, to like the recruiter that came to my school. Had that recruiter not come to my school, who knows if I would have went to that hospital. Or let's just say another hospital came and a different department that wasn't med surg came. I might have taken a different path. I might have done OR. I might have done postpartum of the baby right after school. We just never know. But that was really the only reason why I did med surg right after. I made sure I stayed in contact with that recruiter. I mean, she came the spring semester of my last year. So of course, like right before you're about to graduate, right before you're about to take boards. And I made it, listen, I made it my life's goal to stay in contact with her the entire semester. Now, I don't know 100% if that is the reason why she gave me the interview, because throughout the entire semester, I would email her and tell her an update on my life, on my test scores, on maybe a practice exam. So just giving her an update so that she doesn't forget me. And I also made a point to speak with her right after she did her presentation, right after she came to our class, and talk a little bit about her hospital and the department, which was, of course, like I said, med surg. I think that helped. 100%. Maybe had I not stayed in contact with her, it may not have helped in the future, or not in the future. It may not have helped my future, but I do think that since I put my best foot forward while she was present in our class, and then staying in contact with her afterwards, that helped 100%. Now, here's the tea. Some residency programs go upwards of 22, 24 weeks of orientation. And where I work, it's only 16 weeks, but that is for my specific department, which is mother baby. Now, I know for where I work, there's ED and ICU and L&D, and those do go up to 20 to 22 weeks. That's an extended period of time, but I would rather be in extended orientation and have that support around me versus me being in orientation for 8 weeks or 10 weeks right out of school and not have that, not be able to get that foundation build that rapport, kind of build that confidence within myself to then support my patients, and then therefore to support and advocate for myself as well as a nurse on the unit. So it depends on what you want. If you want to be in a residency, then just be prepared to be in there for a few months. Some hospitals have you guys do like evidence-based practice or like quality improvement projects. Now where I work, we don't have that. We don't do that. And just to let you guys know, since this is my first video, we have a residency program that I oversee. So any new grad that's coming into mother baby or postpartum in my hospital, I oversee that. So I create the curriculum, I teach the curriculum. We have one-to-one meetings. Actually, I like to say one-to-one meetings, but that's because it is me as the educator, it is you as the orientee, and then your preceptor. We want to have meetings on a weekly basis to make sure that we are providing you the best education we can. We are providing information to you in a way that you can understand it, and then you and your preceptor are vibing. You and your preceptor are coming up with a plan day to day. So we want to also make sure that you and your preceptor have a good working relationship. It sucks to have a horrible preceptor. Like, I've never had a horrible preceptor when I did med surg and when I transitioned over to postpartum. Never had a bad preceptor. However, I have been in communications with plenty of not so good preceptors, because like I said, I have weekly meetings with nurse preceptors, tech preceptors, secretary preceptors, charge nurse preceptors. I kind of oversee all those job class codes. The only job class code I truly do not oversee are managers, but that's because when they're in orientation, they are truly being trained by a current manager. And since that isn't my title is a nurse educator, I only train the people below them. Even supervisors, it's kind of a half I oversee, and then the other half, or maybe 30% I oversee for supervisors, and then the other 70% the managers oversee. But anywhere from charge nurse to our nursery nurses to a subset that's in L&D, those nurses, to regular staff nurses, our techs and secretaries, and travel nurses galore. The other thing is we sometimes have modules. No, I'm lying. We have modules. And when I say modules, I mean like computer-based learning modules that they have to complete within that 16-week time span. We have, and they are curated by A1 themselves. So we actually get the modules from A1, and we have our nurses, experienced or not experienced, complete all those modules. And I think it's about 10 to 11 modules, but they're worth about 45 hours. Something along those lines. And so you do get paid quite a lot. And then of course you're still in orientation, so you're still having your 2 shifts to 3 shifts a week with your preceptor. And then you also get to see your different shifts. So at one point of your orientation, you will see day shifts. So you'll be with a preceptor on day shifts for, let's just say, 5 to 6 weeks, and then the other half you'll be with your preceptor on night shift, 5 to 6 weeks. And those other weeks are computer class, regular classes. So we do simulations, we do escape rooms or unfolding case studies. Oh y'all, when I tell y'all I love it, 100%, hands down, love the escape room, love the hands-on interaction, love the simulation center. We have a freaking mannequin, which is, I don't want to say mannequin, that's because that kind of dumbs it down, but it's a high fidelity, I'll say this, high fidelity mannequin, ones that talks and blinks and breathes and bleed, because like I said, I am in women's services, so we have moms who might come up with a hemorrhage or sometimes might have hypertension, and you need to know what to do in any of those situations. We do mock code blue, baby. When I tell you those mock code blues be getting y'all, it be getting y'all. So coming to my class is really the best thing, because it's not like school. You know, we are here to make a mistake and then learn from that mistake and understand why this is how it's supposed to be done and why this isn't. It isn't a time for anyone to badmouth you. It isn't a time for the educator to sit there and, think ill of you. No, this is a time for you to make those mistakes. And when I enjoy it. I mean, because what I'm going to do is when you are in my class for that mock code blue, or rather for any class that I teach or any topic that I teach, I'm going to ask you, why do you think this is happening? What is the reason behind the what? What is the why behind the what? My old boss used to say that, so I think I said it right. What is the why behind the what? Ask open-ended questions. Ask the student, or the if it's not a nursing student, the nurse resident, what do you think you did well? How do you think you did? Did you guys communicate appropriately? Did you guys understand where to get your information? Did you understand what the task or the activity was? Tell me some things you could do better in this instance or in that circumstance. And then the more you get them talking, they start having almost like a community. And I am becoming more of a facilitator in a sense, or more of a coach, because I am not telling you what to do. I want you to tell me how well you did and what you could have done better. And so that's how you build that relationship, that working relationship between the nursing student or the nurse resident or new grad nurse and the educator. You don't want the individual to feel stupid or dumb, or that they don't have the opportunity or the space to ask questions and or make mistakes. Not in my class. And if I see someone behaving bullying or being disrespectful to another class member, I will definitely speak up and say something, because in my class we cannot treat each other poorly and then turn around and try to treat patients appropriately and advocate for our patients. That's not how we do. It's too much going on in healthcare right now, or the last how many decades, and especially it's too much going on in nursing right now in general. Down to the pay, down to the bullying, like I said, nursing when they're young, down to managers or leaders not doing the appropriate things to make it safe for patients and for the staff members, ratios, equipment, those types of things. So that is a topic for a whole nother day. Stay tuned. But yes, so I want to make sure that I'm providing the best me, and when I provide the best me to my students or my residents, then they can turn around and provide the best them to their patients and to the people and the staff members around them. That's all I care about. Another thing, I think I might have touched on this a little bit, is, like I said, the one-to-one meetings that we have. And during these meetings, we have kind of create a detailed orientation plan for you. So if there's something that you may be struggling with, let's say I had an employee who was struggling with communicating with her patients, and not communicating as she can't speak, it is she only speaks when spoken to, versus just being confident in her approach, going in there, addressing the patient, addressing the baby, of course, addressing the care partner, whether it's the mom, whether it's the dad, whether it's the grandma, the sister, whoever it is. And it didn't bode too well for her because she's such a shy individual. But what I noticed was when the patient asked her a question, she knew the answers right then. She would make sure she gave the answer to a T. Very quiet, very mild and timid. But then when it was time to answer the question, she was still quiet, but she knew her answers like the back of her hand. She was able to educate her patient and those things. And so along with me, her, and her preceptor, we came up with a really good game plan to kind of get her a little bit out of her shell. And over the weeks, we've seen her kind of come out of her shell, start to thrive a little bit more, start to be open and communicative. But certain things just come with time. So you can't push someone to be who you are, or you can't treat this one resident the exact same how you treat the other 20-25 residents, because everyone is different. Everyone has different learning styles, and you don't want to put put learning or put education in just one big bubble, because that's not how everybody receives information. Someone may receive information better just by having a one-on-one conversation privately versus you calling them out in front of the entire class. Or they may be the type of person who needs you to repeat yourself 2 or 3 times and then go ahead and physically show them whatever that task is before it clicks in their minds. And you won't know that until you speak with them, or you have a task, or have to hang that IV medication or give that IM injection or anything like that. You won't know those things until it happens. But you as an educator have to know how to pivot and adjust for each person's learning styles. I think in orientation right now, on our boards, we have probably a little bit over 50 people in rotation right now. And that's just all job class codes. And so it's split between 2 people. It's a very difficult position. I love it. I am super excited for this. If anyone wants more information on what it's like to be a postpartum nurse, what it's like to be a med-surg nurse, I still claim it, even though I technically haven't worked med-surg in 3 years, but who's counting? Another thing to kind of think about is preceptors. So I don't want to say a preceptor can make or break your orientation or your residency. However, your preceptor does play a huge part in it. Now, if you have someone who doesn't truly want to precept and they're just doing it because they were told to do it, that's going to negatively impact your orientation. I know it's thin, it's slim pickings out there. They say it's the nursing shortage. They say it's so hard to have nurses stay at the bedside and things like that. But I still want you to advocate for yourself. If your preceptor isn't doing her job, I need you to speak up, because I want to ensure, look, I'm saying I as if you work at my job, but you don't. I know you don't. I know we don't know each other, but we're gonna get to know each other, right? We here. All right. But what I'm saying is, if your preceptor isn't precepting, if she ain't doing her job or he ain't doing his job, I need for you to escalate that to the nurse educator that's on the unit, your supervisor, or your manager, because in the end, it's going to be on you. It's going to reflect on you that you didn't put in the best effort, that you didn't do your job. You didn't learn how to hang those medications. You didn't know the side effects. You didn't provide that patient education for discharge. Even though it may not be you, it may be you were trying to ask these questions and trying to learn, and you were just shunned or pushed away, or put to the back of the room or the corner of the room because your preceptor couldn't be bothered. We don't know these things until you guys tell us. So I always say, yes, you are an advocate for your patients, but you are dang sure an advocate for yourself. I want to leave you with that tip. Now, what I want you guys to do, if you want to see another video, come back next week. I'm going to talk about why nurses are quitting the bedside, why nurses are quitting altogether, the nursing profession altogether, and what you can do to prevent that from happening to you. And I am so happy to start this channel. I want you guys to continue to rock with me, and let's just do this thing together. Woo, woo. No, okay. Yeah. All right. Bye.